Hi, I'm Kelly Rowlett-Presgrave. I'm president and CEO of Work With Your Hands, and we are so proud to be a sponsor of Power Women of the Trades podcast. You can reach us at workwithyourhands.com. Kelly at workwithyourhands.com is my email.
Chiirp is the ultimate automation toolbox for home service businesses. Chiirp helps you capture more leads, connect faster, close more deals, and create customers that will buy from you over and over again. Using text message, email, and ringless voicemail automation, with Chiirp, you can maintain perfect follow-up throughout the entire customer journey. Learn more about how to transform your customer experience on chiirp.com today.
CHIIRP.
This episode is also brought to you by Relentless Digital Marketing. More information on them in the show notes. Thank you for being a sponsor. We appreciate you.
Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
This episode is part 1 of 2. To learn more about our guest, check out their information and bio in the show notes below. Make sure to come back next week for part 2 of the episode. Enjoy!
So how is life? How's travel? Did you travel in?
I flew in yesterday. I got a hotel. I was like, well, I'm just one night. I'm going to get a hotel by the airport. And it was super ghetto. So
Oh, no.
I got a hotel downtown.
Okay, so have you ever been to AHR?
He came last year to AHR. in
Oh,
Atlanta.
yes.
Justin
you
was
did.
that, and you had Justin with you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
Yep.
Cool.
You weren't going to make it this year.
We weren't.
Just 'cause you'd been
I
traveling a
wasn't-
lot.
We've had way too much stuff going on.
I feel that hardcore. So because I came home from Costa Rica on
How was that?
Sunday. Costa Rica is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, all right. So Chiirp, I'm excited to talk about Chiirp
I know.
specifically because for a couple
I need
things.
my notepad because I actually have real questions.
So a couple of reasons why I'm personally excited about Chiirp is
Who's one of
because
our sponsors?
you are a sponsor for Power Women of the Trades podcast. Okay. But putting that aside, you are a marketing partner for Quality Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and soon to be electric. And I'm excited about that specifically because we have grown business. Like we have gotten leads by.
We're about to add HVAC.
So
and
Chiirp is
electric, too.
rehash, right? Can you give us, our listeners, tell us what Chiirp is?
So, on the surface, it looks like a text messaging platform, but we don't like to be lumped into that. It's an automation platform for marketing, for communication. Jim Leslie calls it his Swiss Army knife because it can really do, there's a million different automations you can do with it. We've been building it for 5 years and coming up with all different use cases. So at its core, it's a text message, email, and ringless voicemail platform. And the magic behind it is it's deeply integrated with all of the home, the platforms out there that allows you to trigger at very specific times. So there's very specific ways to follow up. We're looking for laser targeted follow up to help you close more deals.
And we were interviewing Jackie with Service Titan this morning, and we were talking about, well, there's so many ways to talk about why Service Titan is successful, but the integrations that we're able to have. And I was thinking about us talking to Ryan later in the day because you can literally create these buckets and filter and filter and filter and trigger it down and contact. Really, once you set it up, it's totally seamless. You have to have someone in there in the portal talking, but once you get it exactly how you want it, your follow-up is seamless and totally automated.
Yeah, that was the idea behind it because you look at let's just use estimate follow-up as one of 100 different automations, right? Following up on estimates. Your estimate's going out. You want to make sure you're following up to make sure that deal has the highest chance of closing.
Right.
The problem that a lot of systems have is they can set it up so that when an estimate goes out, a follow-up starts. But if you're a company that does HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and you have a ton of different, business units, job types throughout, the follow-up's going to be different. You don't want to follow up the same way on a HVAC system that you do on a plumbing system.
Right.
And then even further down that, you don't want to follow up the same way on very specific job types. And so I wanted to create freedom to be able to say, hey, on this specific thing, I want this very specific follow-up to happen.
Right.
And then once that's set up, it's happening every single time that specific thing happens in ServiceTitan or House Call.
We use ours more. We use that as well, but then we also use like when we know something's coming, for example, the weather shift, and we were ready for the weather shift, but maybe our customers haven't had their heat maintenance done. And we were able to pull every customer who is not a member and hasn't had their heat maintenance done, but we have seen them in the last 12 months. And we know that they do know who we are, right? We're not just like blindly messaging these people. We're messaging them then and saying, hey, it's time to book that heat maintenance so we can keep your heat in order. And the messages, because if we think about it, we're all accustomed to a text message.
Oh, definitely. And you respond more to a text message than you would an unknown number.
Yeah. If you talk to your customers, they're going to be like, well, can you just text me?
Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
It's so much easier. But yeah, and you're bringing up another one of the features that I wanted to create that freedom to be able to kind of shoot from the hip. If something happens, whatever it is, you want to be able to say, hey, I want to reach my customers really quickly. And so you can pull that report in ServiceTitan, and it automatically pulls over to Chiirp, and you can say, okay, send a text message to this list of people. And then, how that you can reach, I generally tell people start with like 100, because if you're going to go more than that, you're overwhelming your system. You get super high response rates.
Shocking. It was shocking to us because that first Chiirp, what do we call it? A chirp?
Just
a chirp.
Yeah.
That first chirp we sent,
yeah.
I would have to get with Kaylee, but we kept booking calls, and I'm like, what is happening? Because I almost thought, honestly, it was too good to be true, because how many times have we talked to someone who maybe says they had a service like this or something? You kind of get used to getting told that there's this magic thing out there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we'll try it. He said it's going to work, and it did. And so now I'm excited because we're adding electric as a new trade for the company. And so I'm already thinking, what are we going to do to initiate that?
Or just announce it
to our customers and initiate business.
Now we just went through a major weather storm in Oklahoma, and it was everyone's pipes burst, and we were warning everyone on social media, and I wish I would have thought to put out an educational text. Hey, everyone drip your faucets.
Yeah.
You can use it to build trust.
That?
Oh, yeah,
That's
totally.
something we didn't even think about.
Yeah, because I didn't think about it.
When you think of it in terms of just...
Please remind me next time.
We want to get away from just marketing.
And sales. Sales,
right? We want to create a relationship with the customer. And so if any chance you can get to just remind people that you're there and give them some sort of an educational piece that makes them go, oh, that was nice.
Right.
You drive your brand further. Right. You drive everything
top of mind.
Deeper into the top of mind. And it makes them appreciate you taking the time to do that. And then you're gonna lock them in as, a customer. And so if you can find ways like filter change reminders is one of them, right? Where it's like, we're not trying to sell you anything. We're just trying to send a text that says, hey, it's been 3 months since you changed your filter. It's time to change it again. That's it. No other reason behind the text other than to let them know. And those little things, and just like you said, hey, drip your faucets so that your pipes don't freeze. Can you imagine how many people would be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And then, in
wish
the future,
I would have thought of that.
I know.
Yeah. So think outside of the box when it comes to, this is not just for marketing, but I mean, at the end of the day, it is marketing.
I mean, we're not always going to see a direct...
You're not always trying to sell, and it's not always direct response marketing.
We're not always going to see that direct return, but the goal is the bigger picture in the long game. Mm-hmm. We went to one of the presentations earlier, and someone was talking about digital media or digital social media and all those things, and someone asked a question of, how do you see a return on that? And it's like, I kind of piped in as an audience member of, you're not always going to see a return. And that's where I think
you see a return, but not in the way that you can see and monetize to spout off a number.
Absolutely. You see a return in the big picture as part of your brand story and what you're doing, but maybe you're not always going to see the return that's measurable specifically to that, because we made a Facebook post about dripping your faucets, but then we send a text message to drip your faucets, and then we send this and this and this, and maybe we go ahead and see that customer, and are we going to be able to say, oh, well, they specifically came from this? But most of the times our customers do tell us, hey, I got that text message and thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, we're always, attribution is what you're talking about. Yeah. It's difficult to you can't have perfect attribution.
Right.
There's no way, because there's they might have seen a billboard and then they got the text message and somehow that worked for them.
And they're still going to Google your name.
Yeah, and they're still going to Google and
hit the PPC ad.
Exactly. So it's like you can't say, oh, he came from the billboard or he came from this.
Right.
It's a culmination of so many different things. But the text messages also serve to, those ones like the faucet, it also serves to train them to communicate with you through text.
Yes. And
so that when an emergency does happen, they don't go straight to Google. They go, oh, I can just text my guy. And they're right there on the phone. So the more we can train them to do that by sending out those texts, eventually they're going to go, you know how it is, like you'll receive a text and you'll respond back and forth. You're not going to always save that number.
Right.
But after a certain amount of times, they're going to eventually be like, I need to just save this number. And then it's in their head to just text you. So we're training them to communicate that way. So, and it keeps them off of Google and away from your competition. So
that is so smart.
I never thought of it that way.
Literally, as a customer of Chiirp, whatever, it's like I don't even think about it that way.
I don't think about it that way either.
Because when I think about the lawn guy that comes to spray the yard, we've been in a contract with that company for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that I've ever spoke to anyone on the phone.
Yeah.
I booked it all. I accepted the estimate, and it's not even like a cheap estimate. Like, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Then we moved and I forgot to cancel it. And then I just texted in and was like, hey, we moved. I forgot to cancel. Can you just pause it and hold the money I've paid? And they're like, yeah. Do you want a refund? No, just hold it.
Yeah.
Everything was through text message. I don't even know what these people look like, because then I never see them.
Yeah.
Because they come when I'm not there, because I also trusted them.
You have it saved in your phone as long guy, don't you?
It's a long guy, right? Yeah. So, but they train me to speak to them through text message.
Yep. And we all are used to it now at this point. How many people have we met in our lives that we've never actually met, right?
Right.
Like I knew Brent Harpole when I saw him, but I've never actually physically met him. I saw him, I know him on Facebook and everything, but like, it's like, I know him. It's like, what's up, dude?
We're friends.
Yeah. So we've come to the point in society that we can have relationships without physically.
Most businesses' online presence is boring. And by being boring, they're losing out on potential sales and customers. Being interesting and exciting is what draws customers in and gets them to buy from you. But it's hard to be interesting online when you're focused on running your business and taking care of your customers. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the key to unlocking the solution to your problem. Key Heart Marketing can help take your business from boring to brilliant on social media. We can vouch for them. They run our podcast socials. If you want to have a strong social media presence that allows customers to know, like, and trust you, connect with Key Heart Marketing at keyheartmarketing.com.
Well, and we have to remember too, specifically talking about the younger millennials and the new Gen Z.
Right.
They don't.
That's what they're totally used to.
Yeah, they don't want to talk on the phone. Like Kaylee, our marketing manager for quality, I will be like, "Hey, just call them," and she's like, "I'll text them," and she's right. They're going to respond faster through text.
They might have an anxiety attack if you call them.
She's like, do I need to call? Like, do I need to?
Why am I doing this?
It's to the point where it's weird now if you don't. Like, they're like, what are you doing?
Do you guys still, though, as you get older, I'm embarrassed to say this, I've started calling people when it's too long to text, and I was always a texter.
Yeah.
Now I've gone back to calling.
It's a total marker of our generation.
Is it because of my age?
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
It's
like
full
on
circle.
Bill pay though, like we had some bills come through, and like I pay the bills, right? But if they don't have like an online bill pay option, that is Oscar's responsibility. That is not mine.
Yeah.
Like I take it to him, and I'm like, you need to call them and pay this, because I will not. It'll go to collections.
So tell me, do you guys have anything up your sleeve like that you haven't announced yet? Any new developments besides the text, email?
No,
especially with AI.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, we always do. So
that you can talk about.
We're doing a lot of really cool stuff with AI. We have the ability to take a lead from, the moment they become a lead, through the quoting process, through the booking process, and actually book to Service Titan calendar, whoever's calendar, all through text. So you could actually convert an entire job through AI. They can even upsell and put it all the way through. So we've been testing it with like some carpet cleaners and some things, and it's like we'll put an ad on Facebook, that's like, hey, get your carpets cleaned. They click the ad, it's got their name and phone number, they click submit, they receive a text message within about 15 seconds that says, hey, it looks like you requested a quote. How many rooms do you need cleaned? Oh, I need 4. Okay. Are you going to need pet treatment? No pets. Okay, great. Do you need any upholstery done? It's upselling. It's asking questions. Great. And then it adds it all up. It says, great. Looks like your quote will be the X dollars, for this service. We have tomorrow available and Friday. What works better for you? Tomorrow at 2. Okay, great. And then it'll book it to the calendar and it's done. So
What?
yeah.
That's
So
good
what happens
stuff.
when the technician goes out and it's a little bit different than what they thought? You just deal with it on site.
So and generally we'll have it say like we'll have within the text
Disclaimer.
like with pet stuff, if they say it's going to be pet, we say, okay, great, we'll assess that on site and make sure it's exactly what you need. And there's kind of they'll kind of put in like a little disclaimer within the text that's saying like, hey, this is what we think it's going to be. We're going to come out and check it out. So
This reminds me a lot of like just you are eliminating
So crazy
friction.
what we can do now.
So I talk about friction a lot in our company and anywhere that I can talk about friction. You want to eliminate friction. You don't want to cause something to make the customer feel friction and feel like frustrated or upset. And I always say like, do you know if you go to Walmart and you purchase a vacuum cleaner, the close rate on the service plan for the vacuum cleaner on a self-checkout is like 77% because it's offered 100% of the time because the computer doesn't know that, it doesn't judge the person and think they don't want this, they don't care, they don't whatever, right? And so what happens is like when we're training CSRs, sometimes when the booking rate's not where we need it to be, you often see that like the CSR is creating that problem because they're asking questions that we don't need to know or care about right now, or they're trying to get too much information for the technician. So in this, what he's talking about is there's none of that. It's literally just answer this question. This is what I asked you. And then there's not there's no human behind it saying, oh, I can understand, like maybe you can't afford that or you can't do this.
Right. There's 100%. No emotion.
Yeah, because we all have been in sales, right? Where, it can be your mood at the time where you're like, I'm not in the mood to try to push this any further, right? And we can't help that. CSRs are going to or
like the CSR has already had 972 phone calls today.
Yeah, which puts them in a certain mood, right? For sure. So yeah, this is cool because it's like, and it allows you to get down to like numbers where you go, okay, cool. Like you said, it's offered 100% of the time. I have this close rate, and that data is the ultimate. In business, if you can have more data, it's like gold. So it's like, all right, I know that if I spend X dollars on Facebook, I will close X dollars. And when you know that, the rule is what do they say? Is like he who can spend the most wins, right? He who can spend the most to get a customer wins, right? And so the way you can do that is by figuring out your data and determining, is this working? And so with that, it's like, it's really hard to do with CSRs because you just, there's humans.
Yeah. And there's so many times that like we are trying to, with the CSR, they're just like asking the thing, just human nature, because we want there to be empathy and we want there to be all of the emotion and that type of things too. But sometimes you just need the collection. And then I think about Oscar and I as younger owners, like we've been doing this for 10 years now. Previous to that, if we would have sat in the audience and you were telling this, giving this example, we would probably be like, okay, but what if it offers Thursday at 2:00 and we don't have that? Well, and it's like, it doesn't matter. You're thinking too far at that point. This is a lead gen. That's it. And then let it book it and then let dispatch handle it. We were so busy last week with the weather.
You still book every call.
And then you prioritize. The job is to book the call. Someone said, hey, when do we stop booking calls? We don't book the call. And then the dispatch will handle it, because we're looking for, we're playing the long thing right now, because at the, in that example, who's to say that customer didn't call 5 companies and book 5 companies?
And they did. And then
they did.
Yeah.
And then now we stopped
last week was wild
because we were booked. And so it's the same thing. You have to look at that perspective as this is a lead gen and I'm getting the lead. And then it's my job to do something with the lead that I was given and not worry so much about the time frame.
Right.
Yep. And the beauty of it too is we are reading the calendar too. So we are knowing if the times they're offering are available on the calendar.
Do you already have that integration? That would just be something if you already have that integration into Service Titan, it would just be
already reading what's in there and it's only offering times that are currently available.
Yeah.
So.
Where exactly does your story come from? Like where did this evolve from? Because have you always been in the trades? Where did you come like, okay, this is something that the trades need?
So my first like successful business as an entrepreneur, I've always just been really scrappy, bootstrap entrepreneur. I've never really had a job. And my first like successful business was windshield repair. So like I would fix little chips in the windshield so they don't spread. And we would do it out of like gas stations and stuff. And it got to a point where we were in like 20 gas stations and like several dealerships, and we were doing pretty well with it. And I kind of had this idea where I was like, man, this is a cool like entry level entrepreneur opportunity. I want to teach people how to do it. So I created a digital course, like an online course back in 2014, I think it was, that I started building the course. And it was how to start your own windshield repair business. It was for like young entrepreneurs that wanted an opportunity. And so we would sell them the equipment and training on how to do it. And it was like $2,000 to start your whole business. And I started selling that on Facebook using Facebook ads. And I made like $2 million selling that course. And I was selling it I would text the leads as they would come in. And so I saw that as being like really powerful. And I started to kind of piece together automations using multiple softwares to make it work. And I saw that first thing was speed to lead, that moment that the lead comes in, that I contact it very quickly. That's how I would get high conversion rates, because they could see that there was a human being and it was like a real person. And so that was what drove the success in that business. And then I saw that going, hey, that thing, plus we'd follow up with the leads and do all these different things. And I said, this is really cool. This is going to be, something I should build. So I got an software engineer to partner with me. And we started building Chiirp. We didn't really specifically plan to build it for the trades initially. It was just like, hey, this is good for people that sell stuff. Let's figure out who needs it. And we were selling it to kind of anybody and everybody that would use it. And it wasn't until about 3 years ago when we started working with some home service people, and they said, man, if you could have it do this with our field management system with, at the time, House Call Pro, it was like, so we looked at it, we're like, oh, we could build that. And we started building all these integrations, and then they started kind of guiding us on like what would be really cool. And then next thing you know, we were in, all the major ones, and we really started to take off, and we kind of shifted and just said, hey, we can see that this is really powerful for trades. Let's focus 100% of our energy on the trades. So
you've like blown up in the past year. When we met you at the Women in HVAC event year before last, you were kind of just getting your feet wet in the trades. And then it seemed like last year. Yeah. I mean, it's all been 100% referral based, word of mouth. We don't do any paid advertising or anything. Right. It's 100% you guys and other people just saying, oh, you should use Chiirp for that. You should. And it's been based on actual results, which is like the ultimate, right? It's like people going, I've had really good results. You should sign up. And so now we're basically in every best practice group, every coaching company, every agency, everybody seems to want to be a part of it. And it's been really wild ride.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review in Apple, and make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.